Okay. As I said, today's presentation is very much to give an overview of Cambodia, why to invest in Cambodia, and moving on to giving a summary or an overview of the infrastructure in Phnom Penh. Okay? So, for a lot of people that haven't been to Cambodia, we always assume that Cambodia is one of them places that is still very much undeveloped. They first like to think of Angkor Wat, of Siem Reap, of the heritage sites in Cambodia. But actually, Cambodia is developing quite rapidly. We already have large economic zones coming into Cambodia. We have large developments coming into Cambodia, and we're very much coming into compliance with this one road, one belt scenario that will help to connect Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, and the rest of Southeast Asia. Here we can see Cambodia has a very, very long history and heritage. Predominantly when you go to Cambodia, you notice that most of the country does speak Chinese. So it's very easy to communicate with the Chinese and with the Khmer people and work together in Cambodia. Here we can give a very brief overview of the history in Cambodia. As everyone knows, the Khmer Rouge fell in 1975, similar time when the Vietnam War ended. We have seen a large scales of developments in Vietnam, and Cambodia is now very much on the same track. When I first come to Cambodia, it was quite difficult to get from the UK into Cambodia. I think I had to stop 3 or 4 times on the way. But now we can see that Cambodia is very much the Pearl of Asia. It's very much centralized. There's a huge amount of investment going into the infrastructure regarding to the airports. And I believe that even Japan will start flying direct flights as of August this year. Here we can see the general demographics of Cambodia. With a lower base population than most, it's still growing at a rapid rate year on year. Average is 8 to 10%. Again, one key note for this slide is to understand that in Cambodia, when you first arrive, whether it be in Phnom Penh or in Siem Reap or Sihanoukville, wherever your port of entry is, if you try and get a taxi or even a tuk-tuk, most of them will greet you in either English or Chinese. So the literacy rate is there. Again, with the population growing year on year, with a lot of the population being in the bracket where it's the working population, the demographics are definitely suited for investment within Cambodia. A lot of this information is actually on our website. If you want to get more information, you can go there as well. There's no need to take pictures. It's all very public information, and we're very transparent with all the information that we have. So we can see, at the moment in Cambodia, there's a lot of, the population does really sit within the working population. And those that are coming up to that demographic from 25 to 54 years old, we can see is 20% at 15 to 24. A lot of them are actually getting educated overseas and internationally. So they can meet the requirements for not just the local need, but also for the international need. Importantly, economics. When we like to look at the economics in Cambodia, a lot of people have a mixed understanding or mixed information. But actually, in Cambodia, the economy is growing rapidly. And we have not just the banking sector growing, we not have the infrastructure growing, we also have the construction sector, the garment industry, everything is growing year on year. So here we have the question, why Cambodia? Why not somewhere else in the region? Outside, I saw on the billboard that there's 9 reasons why it should be Cambodia. I actually have a lot more reasons than that. 13. I'm not sure if 13 is the lucky number, but for Cambodia, it's been pretty lucky so far. So here we can see the main issues, the main reasons why people want to invest in Cambodia. The first, political stability. It is stable. You may read things in a newspaper, but general rule of thumb, it is stable. Location, central, easy to get to. Dollarized economy, favorable investment climate. trade integration. I mean, all these things, they touch base on all the things required for those looking to invest into Cambodia. Here we go into a little more detail. I'm not going to read from the slide, but as I said, everything is available online. If you want to get it, I'm sure PropertyGuru can supply it in soft and hard, and also on our website we have it. Okay. I'd like to add a note that with regards to number 12, Future Stock Exchange, it is already operational, and I believe that more and more people are starting to join this year, and there's predicted probably 5 to 10 more companies next year. It's still very small, but we have to start small and we can grow. Policy. When we look at Cambodia, we need to understand that Cambodia, in my view, is one of the most foreign investment-friendly countries in the world that I personally know of. They have a clear open-door policy and labour policy. Furthermore, the Council of Development for Cambodia, also known as the CDC, are always there to provide support for anyone looking to come into Cambodia and also give advice. This is one of the only places where you can go to the CDC, you can highlight your problem as a foreign investor, and they will actively seek to give you recommendations on how to solve that problem. So, I have been asked or approached by some people today and yesterday with regards to opening up a company in Cambodia. It's actually a very, very simple process to do. All the information that I've got here is actually available on the relevant ministries' websites. Generally, if you want to talk to someone like DFDL or Soptipana or one of the other legal firms, they can give you good advice. They can do it very, very quickly for you. If you want to do it yourself, also, it's a no-brainer. It's not a difficult thing to do. Again, times, prices, clear transparency. And again, this is not something that I had to go out of my way to get this information. This is something that you make a phone call, you talk to the right people, you have the information there ready for you. It's very clear. So for foreign investment coming into Cambodia, it's very easy for people to come in. If you look at Vietnam, for example, I spent a lot of time there. People looking to set up there, it can take years. Here in Cambodia, we're looking at months. As we know, some of these companies you may know, some you may not, or some you're familiar with. There are so many international companies coming into Cambodia now. As I mentioned at the beginning, when we think of Cambodia, we do think of Angkor Wat. Okay? Now we need to start to think of international development, structure. I believe 1 or 2 months ago, I don't know if you've read it in the local newspapers in Singapore, but Coca-Cola actually invested $100 million into Phnom Penh Special Economic Zone to start to manufacture and distribute Coca-Cola in Cambodia. Okay, there's a lot of investment coming in. Again, we need to pull away from this typical view of Cambodia where we think of temples. It's not going to be Singapore. I mean, Singapore pretty much has the upper hand on most regions and countries, but it is moving ahead. Market data. Again, this information it's rule of thumb. When we look at land prices in Phnom Penh, Siem Reap, Sihanoukville, it may seem expensive. I mean, 10 years ago, we had people coming to Cambodia trying to get land for $200. It's there, even in Phnom Penh. Now, not anymore. But comparatively, it's still very low compared to the region. If we look at Vietnam, you will not get prime commercial land for 4 to 6K a square meter. It's not available. Even in Bangkok, not available. So it's still a very, very low base rate in Cambodia. But the times of, okay, I'm going to go and buy a hectare for $1 million, it's not going to happen anymore. Here are some indicative core and shell construction costs. Purely core and shell, I have to be very, very specific. It's not including interior. I mean, interior can be as expensive as you want it to be or as cheap as you want it to be. You can get a bathroom for 20k, you can get a bathroom for 100k, I mean, whatever you want to spend. But construction costs in Cambodia are still relatively low. Utilities. I think the main thing that people complain about when they come into Cambodia is the electric. Still expensive if you compare to the region, but not overly expensive. And what you'll find is that in Cambodia, there is very much a drive towards clean energy and solar. So they are now, these solar plants, these solar companies are now entering into Cambodia. They are helping to drive down the price of electric. It's not going to happen overnight, but eventually it will. I don't know how many people have been in Phnom Penh recently, but I would say that if you go on pretty much any street, you're more than likely going to have be able to see a new development getting built. If we talk to the ministries, they will say that up to date there's probably around 15,000 units of condos only coming online, already registered. Actually, if we look at the unofficial figures, it's double that, because it takes time for the information to come and be regulated and processed by the ministry. So 30,000 condos coming online in Phnom Penh is very much an active city at the moment with construction. South Phnom Penh. Why South Phnom Penh? Well, we'll go through this. I mean, there's only a few slides here, but basically when you come to Phnom Penh, what you'll find is that the infrastructure is still very much behind. There's a lot more opportunities for development in Phnom Penh. It is happening. It used to take me 2 hours to get from central Phnom Penh, 7 kilometers away to the airport. It now takes me 45 minutes. I mean, it's getting better. So just a brief overview of Phnom Penh. Phnom Penh, it's averagely got 2.5, 2.6 million people, covering 680 square kilometers. The city is already densely populated in built-up areas, especially in the north, east, west, and central Phnom Penh. In the south, not so dense. With this in mind, the experts have been eyeing the south of Phnom Penh, which is mostly untouched and offers the possibility to implement new and modern infrastructure, wider roads, more access. This was a newspaper article taken from the Phnom Penh Post when they done an interview with His Excellency Molivan, who was actually one of the major architects involved in the previous Phnom Penh master plan. And even himself highlights the need to move to the south. So what you can see here, as already highlighted, is that, I mean, central Phnom Penh is the prime area and comprises of some great developments. Some have actually already on display today, Eastland and Silvertown, for example. However, the existing infrastructure is adequate, and there is even a new public bus initiative being funded by JICA in central Phnom Penh. Okay? So if you're looking to come to central Phnom Penh, great. But again, there's only so much space to build at this moment in time. So when people start to look towards the other locations, so we're looking towards the north, east and west of Phnom Penh, they're faced with very, very imminent issues regarding infrastructure, as already displayed in the slide. Regarding to flooding, I mean, flooding is a major issue. If anyone's been to Phnom Penh, when it rains, if you're in the wrong place, you're not moving for a while. Okay, so even myself, I mean, I have a huge SUV. If I'm in the wrong street at the wrong time, I start to float. So you need to be careful where you're looking to invest into Phnom Penh, because there are areas that still sit at a very low datum. It can be as low as 7.5 meters. If we're looking at central Phnom Penh, it's pretty safe at 9.5, whereas the south is actually moving to 10.5 meter datum. Okay? So here we start to see how close South Phnom Penh is to the centre of Phnom Penh. To come from, if you know Phnom Penh, we can consider, if you know Angkor Wat or the Independence Monument. If you're coming to the south, you can be there without traffic, maybe 10 minutes, with traffic, possibly 25 minutes. But it's still relatively close. It's around 4 to 4.5 kilometers max. Again, we can see, if anyone's been in Phnom Penh recently, we can start to see some of the infrastructure that's already available in the south. And it's very, very well connected to the far south of Phnom Penh, where we start to look at Dakamau, where there are new, modern special economic zones coming up. Here we get a glimpse of the overall infra plan for Phnom Penh that connects the south of Phnom Penh to all the relevant ring roads for the One Road, One Belt plan. Some of these roads are existing, some are under contract with Chinese contractors and other with Korean and Japanese. The expansion in the south of Phnom Penh will have over a 60-metre wide, approximately 9-kilometre connection from the centre of Phnom Penh, known as Hunson Boulevard. Additionally, in the south of Phnom Penh, we have, at the moment, planned 61 additional access roads, and also something that's quite new to Phnom Penh, which is underground electric, fibre optic, and phone lines. As I said, if you've been in Phnom Penh, if you look up, you're going to see black cables everywhere. So, south of Phnom Penh is very much, it's been seen as a blank canvas where people can start to develop modern infrastructure into the south to be benchmarked against for the future projects and developments. With the subject of infrastructure, inevitably there are planned water supply, substations and sewage treatment plants within the south of Phnom Penh. So for investors who are seeking to develop in projects there, everything's already available. If you're moving to the north, the east, the west, you have issues with, even though it's densely populated, you still have issues with getting supply of water, depending where your project is. Here we can see an updated picture that was taken in 2015, which shows the main road connecting the far south to the centre of Phnom Penh, known as I mentioned, as Hunson Boulevard. This road actually seeks to be fully operational within this year. Okay? There's been significant development in the south, as we can see. If you come here 5 years ago, this was pretty much lake. As cities develop, similar to Singapore or to Malaysia, many public and private functions become centralised. An example of this, as you may know, is Cyberjaya in Malaysia, where the government departments were centralised to be able to communicate and work more efficiently. Here we can see just some general ideas, because in Phnom Penh, when you come to Phnom Penh and when you're looking to buy something, for example, if you want building materials, you have to spend 2 or 3 days going around in circles trying to find and source everything. So here we're looking to try to centralise, put everything into one location. So as we move to the south, not only will we have clear, modern infrastructure, reducing traffic jams, reducing flooding, we can also centralise all the relevant business lines together, and we can help develop together. Here's just some snippets that I've taken from the Phnom Penh Post and from other sources just for people to see. A lot of people, when they come to Phnom Penh, to Cambodia, they're always very much nervous about the development plans in Phnom Penh. So what we try to do, and what I try to do at our company, is we try to enforce it by actually showing them, look, this is actually going ahead, it is actually moving, and there is a lot of room for development in the south. Okay, if there's any immediate questions that anyone wants to ask me, please go ahead. If not, I'm very happy to run away and get on my next flight to Jakarta. It's no problem with me. But if you have anything you want to know, please.
Does anyone have any questions for Simon?
I'm just wondering, for Cambodia, is there an equivalent of the URA in Singapore? And where can we find out more information about the city development and the town planning?
There is,
Master plan, yeah.
and the new master plan for 2035 for Phnom Penh has actually just been recently finished. If you're looking to find out where the planning, development, what's going on in Cambodia as a general, you can go to the Land and Planning Ministry, which is located in Monivong in Phnom Penh. If you're looking for stuff on an overall view, you also go to the same ministry, but you need to connect to the National Planning Committee, which is also based in the same ministry. Okay? Okay, well, I think that's it. Thank you for your time. Everything's there. If you've got any questions later that you want to ask me, please don't hesitate to send me an email.